The Suns and Clippers in the West. That is where we will begin in La La Land, where Devin Booker scored 45 points. That's a 4 and a 5 side by side. And even with that, and with Kevin Durant having a big stat game, the Phoenix Suns barely got past an undermanned, gritty, gutty Clippers squad, only winning by 5 points, 129 to 124. The rotting carcass of Chris Paul was 5 of 18 for the Suns, as they were credited with the win, but anybody that watched the game said, well, they probably are losers also. Norman effing Powell scored 42 points in the loss for the People's team, but as one of my bosses likes to say up in his corner office, don't bury the lead, my man. The outcome of this game took a backseat to the news of the day in L.A., and if you haven't heard, if you missed it, why were the Clippers shorthanded? Well, we knew they were already without Paul George, by George, as he said, bye, not playing. And then just hours before tip-off, we learned that Kawhi Leonard had gone AWOL, that he wasn't playing either. Kawhi's decided he needed some more time off, load management, and they're claiming it was a sprained right knee, in air quotes. My fat ass. Anyway, we learned from the messaging getting out from Clipperland that Kawhi aggravated his knee during Game 1 against Phoenix, and he allegedly played through the injury, wink, wink, nod, nod, in Game 2. Call me a skeptic, but I ain't buying what they're selling. Nevertheless, Kawhi is expected to be day-to-day, but aren't we all? I don't know about you, but I am day-to-day. So let us discuss the question, what is your reaction with this latest plot twist? What is your reaction? You found out Kawhi Leonard was missing in action from another playoff game for the Clippers. So I've got Paris, conga line, and balancing act. And we will put all of these things together, and we will make a nice lazy boy chair where Kawhi Leonard would rather be than a basketball court. So, listen, I woke up from a nice, I want to say it was a sleep, but it was more of a nap. Not really a slumber. But I had a bunch of messages on my phone, like a lot of messages. There's one thing people love to do, and all men do this. I think women do it too. We all do it. We love to bust each other's chops, right? Bust each other's balls. And so I had a bunch of people. My eyes are all puffy. You know how you wake up, your eyes are puffy, a little crusted over? And so I'm still kind of in sleepy land. I got that going on. I'm a bit foggy. I'm wondering where I am and what I'm doing. And why is all this commotion going on? What could possibly be going on in the world? Now, normally when this happens, it's somebody died or there's a big trade or something like that. You know? And sure enough, it was this Kawhi Leonard, and his knee has passed away, at least for this game. Or at the very least, this desire to play for the Clippers. And so at that moment, when I originally, the first one I read, I was, oh, well, this is funny. This is me because I goof on that loser Anthony Davis. So this is their payback. They're like, see? And then I read a few more, and I said, okay. So then I felt like I had traveled to Paris. And you say, why would you feel like you've traveled to Paris? Let me explain. I would like to excuse my French, but this was a deja vu and a c'est la vie situation. All right? Deja vu, I'm not talking about the strip club, although I have nothing against it, but the serendipitous nature of this. It's like Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, New Year's. These things pop up every year. As long as you're alive, you get to enjoy those things, right? Around the same time. And Kawhi missing a key game. Mark that down on your bingo card. It's there every single time. Making this a c'est la vie situation, as in that's life. With Kawhi Leonard, he is not a rub some dirt on it guy. That's not who he is. He's not buckle it up, go out, go to the West, do what has to be done. No, sorry, Bob. And don't call me Bob. My name is Ben. Kawhi is, if I'm not 100%, I'm not playing. That's how he is. And Steve Ballmer And the Clipper organization, they have embraced this. They have coddled Kawhi and Paul George, and Kawhi in particular. And I get he's being paid for what he did in Toronto. He's being paid for what he did in San Antonio, although he pulled the same shenanigans with the Spurs. But what they have gotten as a Clipper is a cheap rip-off version of Kawhi Leonard. And at this point, that's all we can expect. Now, I will be optimistic. I'll be Benny Brightside that things will change. I see no evidence. I believe this is now part of the DNA of Kawhi. I hope I'm wrong. But that's the person he is right now. I don't think he was like that when he was coming up through the ranks of basketball and when he was at San Diego State, when he entered the NBA. He was not a high draft pick as far as a top 10 pick, a guy that was guaranteed of stardom. He became a star, and he did that through his performance on the court. But whether he's been like that all the time or not, I don't think he has. That's how he is now. And do I believe that he played in game 2 and his knee was not right? No, I don't believe that. And if you believe that, there's a word for that. You call it a sucker. You're a rube. You're a mark. Now, page 2. How do the Clippers now handle this going forward? So they have hitched their wagon to a runaway train. So what do you do? Now the advice is rather straightforward. I would advise an intervention. And what I would do, if Steve Ballmer is listening, and he probably is because he's depressed, and people listen late night radio when they're depressed. So what I would do as an advisor, unpaid Maller think tank advisor, I would bring in what I call the conga line. Now, what kind of conga line am I talking about? I mentioned intervention. So I would bring in a rabbi, I would bring in a priest, a miracle healer, a medical medium, a shaman, a couple of witches, and I put them all together into a room with Kawhi Leonard. I would throw together some kind of magical potion, a witch's brew of blessings and cleansings of the soul and other worldly manifestations. I put all these things together in an attempt to reverse engineer whatever has gone wrong with this guy, right? And the Clippers, again, I go back to the point that they have signed up for this. They babied Kawhi and Paul George. And every year, I don't even watch most of the regular season in the NBA. I find it unwatchable. Why do I find it unwatchable? Because injury management and load management and injury prevention and all the other bullcrap terms they've come up with. And they've told me, the smart people have told me, well, if you don't do this, these guys could get hurt in the playoffs. And they could miss playoff games. And that's the most important time. So, okay. All right. Well, we now have validation that the weird science is crap. It doesn't work. Kawhi Leonard has been with the Clippers for 4 seasons. The entire time, the Clippers have given him a toe rub. All right. Year 1, we'll throw that. That was the COVID bubble year, so global pandemic. Year 2, Kawhi played 52 games. Load management. What happened? He got injured before the Western Conference Finals. The Clippers made the Final Four. He got hurt. Year 3, he did not play a game with an ACL injury. Year 4, we're in year 4 now. He has now missed a game that was right there for the taking because of a knee injury after only playing 52 games. Keep in mind, Kawhi Leonard is not 52 years old. He's not 62 years old. He's not 72 years old. He's 30 what? Kawhi Leonard's in the prime of his athletic career. It's only going to get worse as this cat gets older. Shiver me timbers, as they say on the pirate ship. Now, the last word here. So how do the Clippers handle all of this going forward? So they are clearly at the mercy of Kawhi Leonard. It is a wobbly Jenga tower. It's the Jenga tower. You pull a piece out and all the blocks come tumbling down, 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 down. Now, by the way, I would like to point out that the Clippers, I was watching more of the Sacramento Golden State game, but the Clipper game became the number 2 game. Once I learned Kawhi wasn't playing, why should I focus on that? So, and the Warriors-Kings game wasn't much of a game at all. The Warriors led. They boat raced the Kings, and they won that from beginning to end. But, so anyway, the Clippers, I would like to point out, for the trolls that are out there, there's really nothing you can say here because the Clippers covered the spread. So that makes you a winner. And there's a lot of suckers out there that bet on the Suns. They ran to their bookie and they said, wait a minute here. Kawhi's not playing. And then they adjusted the line. The Suns were a 7-point favorite and the Clippers covered the number. So remember, good teams win, bad teams lose, great teams cover. And a bunch of casual rubes as gamblers got pantsed by the people's team without Kawhi Leonard, who was AWOL. And the mark of a solid coach is one who covers the spread. So Ty Lue, the mad tactician, throwing a bunch of rejects and cast-offs on the court. And the Clippers hung around. And Kawhi Leonard, now, does he care? Do you think Kawhi's upset that he wasn't able to play? You think he's really bummed out? I don't think he is. And if he doesn't care, why should I care? And when he plays, the Clippers can beat anybody. It's a balancing act. The Claw is really big on work-life balance. That's what this is, work-life balance. He wants to make time to enjoy his life and does not want to be bothered by his work. And so if only the Clippers can find a way for Kawhi to play in these games on some kind of Zoom link, they'll be okay. Or maybe they can move their home games to the backyard at that villa in San Diego where Kawhi lives, that resort-style villa. And as for the Suns, I would not flex if I'm a Phoenix Suns fan. This was about as far from style points or impressive as you can say. The Suns needed 45 points from Devin Booker to barely get back the JV version of the Clippers without Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. And I will guarantee you that Suns team that played against the Clippers in this game ain't going anywhere. With this team they will not get past the second round of the playoffs with this style of play, and that's just the reality of the situation from what I saw. I was not impressed at all. Chris Paul is the washed-up, rotting carcass of a guy that we thought he was. This guy is done, absolutely done for the Phoenix Suns. And I look around, and I'm looking at the Clippers who were able to make some things happen on offense with a bunch of guys that are secondary actors. The Clippers shot 54% with their junior varsity team out there. And they were putting the pressure on the Phoenix Suns. So I would not feel too good if I'm a Suns fan. That is a bad win for the Suns and a good loss for the Clippers.